What's up, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin. I'm rocking solo on today's show. No Nigel Patterson for tonight's show, so welcoming all y'all to the show. And I appreciate everybody who's tuning in tonight. Remember, you all can follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast by going on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Also, don't forget you can follow the KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR_sports with the live links and show topics tweeted prior to every single show. And also, don't forget you can call in at 571-991-0566 if you want to join in on any KBR Sports show topic that may be getting discussed, or if you want to pitch your own topics that you want to hear discussed on the show. Remember, the number is 571-991-0566. Okay, so let's jump into tonight's show. So we got, well, first, before we get into listing up the topics and program we have for tonight's show, let me start off with some comic book trivia that I haven't done in a couple of shows. So for tonight's show, the comic book question is, which one of Spider-Man's arch nemesis took over his body in the story arc known as Superior Spider-Man? Was it Doc Ock? Was it the Green Goblin? Was it the Kingpin? Or was it the Hobgoblin? Make sure y'all tweet your answers to KBR_sports or comment on the podcast live, or also call in at 571-991-0566 in order to give your answers to that question. Remember, the question is, which one of Spider-Man's arch nemesis took over his body in the Superior Spider-Man arc? The answers are either Doc Ock, Green Goblin, the Kingpin, or the Hobgoblin. Stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what the answer is. But so y'all, so what I got planned on the show for tonight, we're gonna be talking about obviously some NBA conversation. We're gonna be talking about NBA MVP news and NBA betting odds. And we're also gonna get into some NFL contract talk, and then we're gonna also just run out with some NFL conversation. But first off, let me kick off everything by saying, prayers go out to everybody in Houston, that's in Texas, now in Louisiana. Hurricane Harvey is moving its way up the coast, and now it's apparently in other regions of Texas, and it's about to move into Louisiana. So remember, y'all, try and make a difference, try and help out those people, because if you're in the same situation, you probably just be begging for a prayer for somebody to try and come and give just a little bit of what they have to try and help you out, because Lord knows, with the force of Mother Nature and what's going on there, they need every bit of help they can get. So try and give your best just to help out. Tonight, the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans, they had a preseason game actually scheduled for tomorrow night, I believe, and then they ended up canceling the game despite the fact that the game was going to get moved to Dallas, Texas, or to Arlington to be played at Cowboy Stadium, but AT&T Stadium. But I guess I'm guessing they just decided to go in a different direction just because of the fact that they didn't want to put the strain on Houston fans to have to travel to the game. So I can understand why they decided to make that decision. Even though I would have liked to have seen them possibly host the game and still possibly donate the all earnings to the hurricane relief fund. But I get, and sports is just a way for people to get their mind off of things a lot of times when a lot of these tragedies happen. That's what the situation was for Hurricane Katrina, and a lot of those fans were very happy that they had they had the Saints to rally behind. That's why that Super Bowl Saints team was was such a emotional year and such an emotional win for that team, because the whole city of New Orleans pretty much rallied behind them. So it's not for me to say whether the decision is right or wrong. It's just one of those things that the NFL and the Cowboys and the Houston Texans made the best decision that they felt was right. And Houston in itself, they had some say in whether they wanted the game to come on. But let me get into this first topic where I'm going to talk about. So for those of you who know, I feel like everybody in life has that one person that who just gets under your skin, right? Who you feel as though they're the person that makes you try the best at whatever you're trying. Like, whether it's a rival, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a parent, it's just somebody that they issue you a challenge. You can't help but feel compelled to try and rise up to the challenge and then supersede that challenge, because you don't want that person to feel like you couldn't live up to what the challenge was, or you don't want that person to feel like they got the better of you, wherever it may be. You just have that one person you feel like you need to to not disappoint or to live up to their expectations. So one guy in the NBA right now, or that was formerly in the NBA, that a lot of people hold in that high regard as a mentor and as inspiration, as somebody they have high respect for, is Kobe Bryant. And since retirement, most recently, Kobe Bryant has been going around and has been going on a spree of essentially ushering different challenges to different athletes in different sports. Like he challenged Richard Sherman of the NFL to break the single season interception record. He challenged Isaiah Thomas of the NBA to make all NBA first team. He challenged Allyson Felix to try and coach a women's track team and bring up or coach girls in women's track. And he challenged DeMar DeRozan to reunite a friendship that he lost a minute ago back when he was in Compton. So one of the most notable challenges that came along, because as Kobe's ushering all these challenges to people, one guy's sitting here feeling left out, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. He's sitting here feeling left out, like, yo, Kobe, what challenge do you have for me? And the challenge that Kobe ushered to Giannis was and win the MVP. Now, when we look at this past season, because Kobe, these challenges are essentially all bold challenges, and for Giannis, it was a bold challenge. But one thing that's funny enough is, to me, Giannis winning the MVP, it didn't seem that far off. I think me and Nigel a few days ago, or not a few days ago, but a week or two ago, had a conversation about who our favorites were to win the MVP. And I did vote LeBron James as my favorite, because I still stand by that. I think LeBron James will be the favorite to win the MVP. But for sure, Giannis has a really good case as to why he can win the MVP. I mean, let's sit back and think about it. Last year, he averaged 22.9 points per game, 5.4 assists, 8.8 total rebounds, he shot 52.1% from the field, 27% from three-point range, and 77% from the free throw line. He led his team in all statistical categories, led the Bucks to a 42-40 record despite Jabari Parker and other players being injured. They got a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. He had 12.4 win shares, and he was tied for 7th in the MVP voting. Now, here's one thing that goes in Giannis' favor. Giannis was only 22 years old, and he had this great season. Next year, he'll be 23. LeBron James won his first MVP at the age of 24. Derrick Rose, youngest MVP in NBA history, won it at 22. So it's not beyond a pale that you could believe that Giannis could be in that position to win the MVP award, especially in a weaker Eastern Conference where he most likely will have a better chance of winning again in that Eastern Conference and getting his team a higher seeding versus a player in the Western Conference. Now, you look at the Bucks in their Central Division, they got the Cavs, Pacers, Bulls, Pistons. Two out of the 5 teams in that division have easily been reduced or have easily become, or actually even 3 if you count the Cavaliers, if this trade goes through and Isaiah Thomas doesn't play right away. 3 out of the 5 teams in this division have become drastically worse. The Pacers got rid of Paul George, so they're gonna shoot down in the win column. They went 42-40 last year, tied with the Bucks. They're gonna lose a lot more games next year. The Bulls got rid of Jimmy Butler. They're gonna lose a lot more games next year. They're in a full rebuild mode. The Pistons have just been the Pistons, and the Cavs. Yeah, like I said, if you trade Kyrie to the Boston Celtics, immediately you're gonna feel the impact of Isaiah Thomas possibly being absent due to his hip injury, so you're going to lose games off of that fact. So the Bucks are in a position where they can win a good amount of games, especially if they bring back a healthy Jabari Parker. They bring back a healthy Chris Middleton. They bring back a healthy roster that will supplement Giannis' talent and help him have a better run to go toward the MVP. Now, he will have his fair share of competition. Like I said, LeBron James beforehand, he's my favorite to win the MVP for the exact reasons I listed. That division's gotten weaker. LeBron is still the best player in the NBA. LeBron, especially after a season where Kyrie departs, and if he starts part of the season without Isaiah Thomas, LeBron could easily have as good a case as Giannis for why he should win the MVP. Now, LeBron could suffer from MVP fatigue, but it's been about 3 to 4 years since LeBron won his last MVP. So I think after a while, the MVP fatigue is kind of worn off for LeBron James. So this is a guy at the age of 32. He averaged 26.4 points, 8.7 assists, 8.6 rebounds, shot 54.8% from the field, 36% from three-point range, and 67% from the free throw line. It's not the greatest free throw shooting percentage, but everything else sounds pretty darn good. He led his team in scoring and assists, led the Cavs to the second seed in the East, how many times LeBron's been to the NBA Finals? This becomes mind-boggling at this point. The Cavs' third straight appearance. LeBron by himself, it was his seventh straight appearance. He had a 12.9 win shares, and he finished fourth in MVP voting. I don't remember if I said it earlier, but Giannis was tied for seventh in MVP voting. So when you see how LeBron was fourth in MVP voting, he was right there. It becomes fathomable about how he can arguably win it, because then you look at the guys that he finished behind. Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi could definitely be back up there again next year. The Spurs are always a top team in the NBA in terms of record and performance. So Kawhi could definitely be back up there. James Harden. The acquisition of Chris Paul makes me believe that James Harden won't have as good a season as he did last year. His numbers will most likely drop down from where they were last season. So it's hard for me to believe James Harden will be back up in that top 3 spot in terms of MVP, as following as a runner-up. But then you got Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook is an interesting piece in all this, because Russell Westbrook, for me, is a top 5 guy with the chances to win the MVP, because of the fact that Russell, his game, it just all depends on how he changes his game. Because without a doubt, the Thunder will be better because they got Paul George. And so it won't require Russell Westbrook to average a triple-double as he did a year ago. But if Russ and the Thunder have one of the best records in the league, and he's playing at a high level, like top flight level that not many guys are playing on that same level as, because last year he won the MVP because primarily he was averaging a triple double. I mean, it's not any secret. It's not a surprise to anybody. Like, everybody knows that he won the MVP pretty much because he averaged a triple double. So when you look at it this season, it's highly unlikely that he will average a triple double, because you won't use the ball 40% of the time. You won't have a 40% usage rate again. But it's the fact that it's a possibility makes you think. Because, think about these numbers: 31.6 points per game last year, 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists, shot 5.5% from the field, not great. 34% from the three-point line. He shot 84.5% from the free throw line. And he led his team in scoring, assists, rebounds, was the reigning MVP, led his team to a 47-35 record and a 6th seed in the Western Conference. So you can only be impressed with Russell's performance, and their team's only going to get better because they added Paul George. And they still have Steven Adams, still have Enes Kanter. So this team is like, you can only see the Thunder going up. But, with more talent on your team, and it easily creates an opportunity for you to have less of a case as to how much you do for your team, how much value you have towards your team for you to win the MVP. So I think that, and then also the Western Conference is going to be also tougher. So I think the Thunder will be better, but the teams like the Timberwolves, teams like the Rockets, they all improve. So it'll be interesting to see how the West pans out with these improved teams. Because I think it'll definitely be a lot tougher to win the West, especially because a lot of guys that got overlooked last year, like a Steph Curry, a Kevin Durant, those kind of guys, I think they'll also be in the MVP running, because now this is the second year of them being together. How can you deny a team if they have 70+ wins, which is with this kind of talent and a healthy roster from Golden State, it's very possible they could go to 70+ wins. And it's kind of hard to deny a 70+ win team that one of the guys from that team is not an MVP candidate. Kevin Durant is without a doubt the best player on that team, but him or Steph could easily win it if that team has another record-breaking performance of a year this season. So I think that Giannis, I think if I had to dole out chances to win the MVP, I would say LeBron James, in my opinion, has the best chance to win it. Second, I'd probably say Giannis Antetokounmpo has second chance to win it. Third is where I remember I said a while ago. Second, I would probably say Kawhi Leonard. Third, I'll say Giannis. Fourth, I remember I said at one point I believe it was going to be Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis has had such amazing seasons, but the Pelicans just don't show for it in terms of how they perform as a team. But this will be him and DeMarcus Cousins' second year playing with one another, so I believe they're going to have to improve by a lot. They're going to have to improve by a good amount. So in their second season playing with each other, I would hope that they would have a drastic improvement. So I see Anthony Davis possibly in that 4th spot. And fifth to me goes to a tie to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Because Russ Russ does what Russ does. Russ is literally why not? Why not? Why can't it be Russ for a second consecutive year? And then Kevin Durant, he's the best player on the Golden State Warriors, who are the best team in the NBA and the reigning champions. And they most likely will have a record-breaking performance year because last season they played amazing, and it was their first season playing together. Now imagine you got a year under your belt where you've already got all the kinks out of, oh, Steph, who's the guy? It's me or Steph, or who's going to take this shot? How are we going to proportionate the shots? All that stuff. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how the MVP race pans out this year, to see if Giannis can fulfill the challenge Kobe set forth for him, and to see how everything plays out. But all right, y'all, we're going to head to break. We're going to take a 50 to 60 second break. Or I'm going to take a 50 second break. I don't know why I'm saying weird. Well, I'm going to take a 50 to 60 second break. Refresh the page after that time frame, and the show should be back up for you guys to tune into. Remember, y'all, it's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show your 24-hour day.